Hello everyone and welcome to the Character Forge, where I take characters from various media and turn them into a D&D 5e build. I use point buy, optional class features, customize origin, and fixed hit points for simplicity's sake, though sometimes I'll add in some homebrew and variants to make things work just a little bit better near the end. Let me know what character you'd like to see next in the comments below. Today we'll be working on Yamamoto Genryūsai, Captain Commander and Badass Anime Old Man number 657. But man does he make fire powers feel incredible. Almost like the character matters more than the power set. Who knew? So what we're after here for goals is threefold. We need fire and light, lots of it, exceptional martial skill with both blade and fist, and finally, the ability to raise the dead and make it a nightmare for your enemies to deal with. In order to make this happen, we'll start with ability scores. We're going to want 8 strength, 14 dexterity, and 14 constitution. You're incredibly fast, surprisingly durable, and technically you're incredibly strong, but this is D&D, we work with what we've got, and we'll have some abilities in the future that will help make up for this pretty well. Next, we'll take 10 intelligence, 14 wisdom, and 12 charisma. You're tactical, wise, and have an intimidating aura. There's a reason aside raw power that you became the leader. Now for race, there's plenty of options honestly for this, but we're going to go with Eladrin, and ask your GM about keeping it to summer via a minor lore tweak that they retain their appearance based on the season that they were born into or something like that instead. With this, you have +1 wisdom for a new total of 15, and +2 dexterity for a new total of 16. Additionally, you have dark vision because of course you do. Fey Ancestry and Trance also help to shrug off those nasty charms and sleep spells, and you gain proficiency in Perception, Rapier, and a thematic tool of your choice. I'd go with an Herbalism Kit or Cook's Tools, personally. Finally, you get Summer Fey Step. You teleport up to 30 feet that you can see, and each creature within 5 feet of where you land takes some fire damage. Excellent for those flash steps that end with a literal bang. For background, you were raised in a violent, inhospitable, rural society. Here, little of the law mattered. Instead, you found yourself shackled by the law of the jungle around you. The longer you spent there, the more you realized how terrible the situation was, as many began to call you and your family monsters for the methods that you choose. Using violence to solve your problems became second nature, until eventually, watching those you cared about being torn apart by the very rules you had thought would keep your home safe caused you to begin to break bit by bit. One day, you simply couldn't keep going down this path. You needed to leave, to get a different look at life and learn a new perspective. To try and understand what was going wrong and how you could fix your home. Finding allies, new inspiration, ideas. With the goal of one day returning to your home and providing it true safety, you leave. With this in mind, we're taking Soldier. This will give you a military rank and proficiency in a dragon chest set, because why not, land vehicles, which is surprisingly useful in some situations, athletics, and intimidation. Now onto the main course of the build, classes. We're going to start out as a first level monk, gaining unarmored defense along with proficiency in a few weapons, acrobatics, insight, and a fitting tool. I vote whichever one you didn't take with race. This should deviate your skill set just a bit more, and also grants you martial arts so your fists become daggers. Second level monks gain unarmored movement, a dedicated weapon to make your rapier, katana, into a monk weapon, and of course, ki, also known as shonen juice. At the moment, you get flurry of blows, patient defense, and step of the wind. This translates to a barrage of attacks, flash step, and guarding. It just burns your brave Ryoko to use them. Third level monk, we get ki fueled attacks for an extra sword stab instead of a punch, deflect missiles to laugh at gnolls with bows in the way of the astral self monastic tradition, providing you with arms of the astral self. Normally these are floating arms around you, but don't be afraid to ask your GM to just make it a glowing astral energy wrapped around your normal body instead. In this state, your attacks are far more potent, and you can flavor wrapping your katana in astral flames for extended reach and power if you like. Fourth level monk, we get to be boring and take resilience and wisdom for a new total of 16. Additionally, you get slow fall to nullify some damage when you misjudge a flash step, and quickened healing for the shonen moments of taking a second to breathe and regaining some stamina back. Fifth level monks get focused aim to burn energy and ensure a strike hits, as well as extra attack to attack 4 times per turn potentially, and stunning strike to make your GM cry. Now on to the cleric levels. First level clerics gain proficiencies in items that you don't want nor need, as well as a divine domain. We want the light domain, providing you with the light cantrip and warding flare to make hitting the evasion-based monk even more difficult a few times per day. You also gain 3 other cantrips, take guidance for a bit of extra shonen juice to just be better at things, thaumaturgy for various Ryatsu effects, and toll the dead to differentiate your damage types a bit, and add a splash of Kido to your arsenal. You can prepare 4 spells and automatically get Burning Hands and Fairy Fire. Add in Guiding Bolt for a blast of Kido, Detect Magic to sense Ryatsu, Bless to play into your natural leadership skills, and Healing Word to rip someone back into the fight at the very last moment. Second level clerics get Harness Divine Power for an extra spell slot, Channel Divinity for Turn Undead, and Radiance of the Dawn for a massive explosion of sunlight for your Shikai release combined with your astral state. You also gain an extra spell. Take Detect Evil and Good to maximize your ability to hunt the abominations in the dark. Third level light clerics get Flaming Sphere and Scorching Ray. Additionally, take Calm Emotions to nullify charms and control on those in your group with a less focused mind than yourself. Fourth level clerics get +2 wisdom for a new total of 18, improving your spells and astral state. Along with this, you get an extra cantrip and 2 spells, so take Word of Radiance for an easy non-cost AoE, Enhance Ability to just be better at something you need to do, and Hold Person for when you need to exert your raw magical power directly onto an enemy, and teach a child how to breathe. 5th level clerics get Destroy Undead on their Channel Divinity, and light clerics get Fireball and Daylight. Take Spirit Guardians for your Shikai's active inferno around you, or the first step into your Bankai territory. 6th level light clerics get improved flares so they can use their flares to protect others with blinding light instead of just themselves. For your spell, take Spirit Shroud for the next step into your basic Bankai abilities, cloaking your weapon in light and heat. Alternatively, I will be providing a 2nd level Homebrew spell that would probably do this a little bit better. 7th level light clerics get Wall of Fire and Guardian of Faith. Additionally, take Banishment to purge the evil spirits from the material plane. If you're going to be hunting demons and undead and such, it's a really good spell to have. 8th level cleric gets +2 wisdom for a cap of 20, and Blessed Strikes, adding 1d8 radiant damage to your cantrips or attacks once per turn. You also gain 2 spells. Take Freedom of Movement for your raw mobility, and Mass Healing Word for a resurging battle cry to pull your allies back from the brink. 8th level light clerics get Flame Strike and Scrying for advanced Kido in your Bankai's northern state. 9th level clerics get an extra spell. Take Holy Weapon, you've now officially obtained your Bankai's eastern state. 10th level clerics get Divine Intervention to perform the impossible by gaining the aid of the Soul King during a moment of severe duress. Take Sacred Flame for your cantrip and Cure Mass Wounds for an improved version of your healing words. 11th level clerics get a spell. Take either Blade Barrier or Create Undead to gain your Bankai South ability. I personally recommend Blade Barrier, flavoring it as Clawed Hands and Smoldering Undead. I will also have a bit of a Homebrew that can replace this instead for something a bit more summony, instead of just a reflavored aesthetic. 12th level clerics get a feat. Take Warcaster to ensure you don't drop your Bankai due to damage, and you can perform some nasty spell combinations as a reaction if necessary. Speaking of necessary, for your spell, take Harm, and now you have the big bad Kido for when you need to grab a Plakai Brat's ankle after he has betrayed and tricked you. That's a lot of damage for a reaction attack. Now for our Cleric Capstone. 13th level Cleric will grant us Firestorm as the final big attack. Ironically, this one is closer to the pinnacle of your Shikai ability more than your Bankai. Now, if you're down for some Homebrew, this will instead be replaced with a very important spell that I have made further into the video. But worst case, talk to your GM about getting access to the Investment of Flame Druid spell instead. Now, back to Monk. 6th level monks gain Key Empowered Strike for Magic Hakuto Fists, more movement, and Visage of Astral Self, improving your Shikai release even further with Intimidation, Vision, or a Booming Voice. For our capstone at 7th level, you gain Evasion and Stillness of Mind, 2 incredibly potent abilities to shrug off debilitating mental effects and reduce the most common damage save in the game's ability to really hurt you. So how is the build overall, and how do you maximize its efficiency? Well, it's a pretty focus fire build. You have some incredible damage output and several methods to maximize it, with a base of 1d6 plus 1d8 plus 5 damage, reach. You're capable of keeping a steady damage output every turn, burning minimal resources. You don't have access to enough spell slots? Use your key points. Combine them with your cleric features instead. Need to avoid attacks and abuse saving throws, heal, or perform utility? Congratulations, you have those options as well. You even have solid mobility between phase step, 45 movement, freedom of movement, and step of the wind. The only major weakness that you have is a limited damage variety and the fact that you're a bit squishy for a frontliner. Now, not immensely so. 18 AC and high important saves are great. Evasion assists immensely as well. And your advantage on your constitution for concentration is also fantastic. But advantage won't always save you with a +2 constitution mod to maintain spells, nor is having sub 150 health at level 20 as a semi-frontliner. The solution to this is simple. Abuse your mobility and stuns. Combine them with careful use of your spells to buff your allies and yourself. Focus on dealing damage and getting out, and if you're hurting too much, don't be afraid to switch it up and buff another frontliner. Unlike Yamamoto, don't let your pride get in the way. Allow others to take some of the burden from you. If you need to switch it up and focus on support and utility instead, do it. You're not bad at it, even if it may not be your main strength. Another way to assist this a little bit is if your GM does allow you to use some of the more recent abilities and feats. Specifically in this case, the background of Lorehold. That will allow you to have access to the shield spell and will make this build immensely more usable. Just be aware that many GMs don't like taking those backgrounds or allowing them if they offer severe mechanical benefits anymore, like toughness and extra spells and all that jazz. Now, as a further extension on this, when it comes to homebrew options, I have 3 to offer up for you. Feel like the Create Undead or Blade Barrier were kinda meh options for summoning the undead of all the enemies you've slain? Yeah, me too. So instead, how about this lovely guy? Create Mass Undead. Though it won't be the most powerful of summons, it has incredible longevity and will continue to be an absolute pain on the battlefield. It also plays into the idea of using material components, which is a big favorite of mine to make spells feel more impactful. This will cost you some gold to use, and instead you summon a very powerful undead, with effectively no drawbacks aside from the fact that undead are by nature a little bit weaker than their CR will usually dictate, because instead they are so hard to put down. Considering all those zombies you made don't really seem to hurt so much as hinder and become a real pain, I think this is very fitting. Now, for the second option, your Blessed Strikes, Holy Weapon, all that's great. But what if you literally just want to coat your weapon in fire? Why is that not an option? Speaking of why can't you just coat your weapon in any element as a spell? That's Fantasy 101. Here is the answer I made to that question years ago. Add some flair to your Eldritch Knights, your Rangers, your Pallies, and of course, your Yamamotos. And finally, the biggest spell. I made this with a similar goal as coding. It felt odd that only druids had access to spells that cloaked you, and even theirs felt needlessly separated as the investors. So I designed this in order to let my elemental specialized players get some real bang for their buck in the final campaign battles. It helps the caster's survivability, mobility, and has a fantastic theme to it for a character's final big spell. Let's be real, most players don't ever get to 9th level spells. Now, as always, no one hound their GM if they don't like what I've put here, but talk to them about nerfed or altered versions. Most GMs are happy to accept homebrew for fun as long as you communicate and plan with them like normal, civilized people. And I think that about wraps it up. Thank you all for watching, and a special thanks to all my patrons, especially Arima, Disney, Varen, and SPS. Your donations and memberships mean the world to me, and thank you for having such high-tier memberships for so long. Thank you guys, truly. If anyone else would like the chance to vote on these videos, feel free to check out the Patreon or become a member here on YouTube. Alright, that's the first level 20 build I've done in a little bit. I did a poll to see what you guys prefer, 15 or 20, and most seem to agree that 20 was the way to go. This means I get to chat more, so I don't really mind. Let me know what you thought of the build in the comments down below. Anything you particularly liked or would have preferred to see? Who all would you like to see next? So far I have Nanami on the next to-do list, Geto, Yuta, so much Jujutsu Kaisen. I mean, I get it, it's a fantastic series. I'm also working on that Gojo encounter still as well. That's a little bit more intricate than these build videos, it might take a little bit. And, I'm also working on a homebrew subclass for Yuji, and some other shonen characters. You know, the ones that like to use raw force but are also basically monks, and it kind of bothers everybody that there's no real solution to it. Yeah, I'm trying to fix that. But that sounds like about it. I've yabbered on enough for the little intro cards, so regardless, thank you all so much. I hope you have a fantastic day. Love yourselves, love each other, and I'll see you in the next video.